For years, fans of The Incredible Hulk have cherished the on-screen chemistry between Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby, two men whose performances turned a simple TV show into one of the most iconic series in television history. Lou, the muscle-bound Green Titan, and Bill, the soft-spoken scientist cursed by his own emotions, seemed like complete opposites. Yet together they created something timeless. But behind the scenes, their relationship wasn't just about camera angles and special effects. It was about friendship, mentorship, and a quiet bond that would forever change Lou Ferrigno's life. Now, decades after Bixby's untimely passing, Lou Ferrigno is finally breaking his silence. In a series of emotional interviews and rare public appearances, he's revealing what Bill Bixby was really like on set. Not the polished actor we saw on screen, but the man who guided, supported, and sometimes even challenged him. And the truth, as Lou shares it, is both heartwarming and heartbreaking. Bixby was more than just a co-star. He was the emotional anchor of the show, the glue that held the cast and crew together. Yet behind his charming smile, Bill carried heavy personal struggles that no one truly saw. Lou's revelations pull back the curtain on a friendship forged in the intensity of Hollywood, one that would end far too soon when tragedy struck. This is the real story of two men bound by art, respect, and loss. The truth about Bill Bixby's final days and the lasting impact he had on the man who brought the Hulk to life. When The Incredible Hulk first aired in 1978, few could have predicted that it would become one of television's most beloved shows. At the heart of its success were two men from entirely different worlds. Bill Bixby, a classically trained actor known for his charm and precision, and Lou Ferrigno, a former Mr. Universe who was stepping into acting for the very first time. Their connection didn't just make the show work, it made it unforgettable. Lou Ferrigno was nervous when he first met Bill Bixby. He admired Bixby's long list of accomplishments: My Favorite Martian, The Courtship of Eddie's Father, and The Magician. In contrast, Lou was still trying to find his footing in Hollywood after a life defined by bodybuilding competitions and personal battles with hearing loss. Bill didn't look down on me, Lou recalled years later. He didn't see a bodybuilder trying to act. He saw someone who wanted to learn. That respect laid the foundation for a friendship that would soon grow beyond the set. From day one, Bixby took Lou under his wing. While Bill handled the emotional depth of Dr. David Banner, Lou had to express the Hulk's rage and vulnerability without words, a task that was harder than it looked. Bixby often gave Lou subtle pointers on emotional timing, helping him convey pain and loneliness even through layers of green makeup. Bill used to tell me, "Don't play the monster, play the man trapped inside," Lou once said. That changed everything for me. Their chemistry was instant. Between takes, the two would often be seen laughing together, sharing stories, or working through scenes in private. Lou, who was only in his mid-20s at the time, looked up to Bill as both a mentor and a big brother figure. And despite the pressures of Hollywood, Bill treated everyone on set, from crew members to extras, with the same quiet dignity. He set the tone, Ferrigno remembered. There was no ego, no yelling, no drama. If Bill was calm, everyone was calm, but behind Bixby's professionalism lay a man carrying invisible burdens. As production continued, Lou began to notice moments when Bill would retreat to himself, sitting quietly between takes, lost in thought. Lou, still young and inexperienced, didn't fully understand it then. But later he realized that Bill was facing personal pain, from a collapsing marriage to the eventual illness that would take his life. Despite those struggles, Bill never let his emotions interfere with his work. He was the kind of actor who believed in discipline, and that discipline rubbed off on Lou. "He taught me to respect the craft," Lou said. He'd say, "You don't just show up and flex your muscles, you show up and tell a story." Those lessons would shape Ferrigno's approach to acting for the rest of his career. The friendship extended beyond filming. Bixby invited Lou to dinners, helped him navigate Hollywood, and gave him advice about fame and responsibility. For a young man who had spent most of his life feeling isolated because of his hearing impairment, this kindness meant everything. Bill gave me confidence, Lou later said. He made me feel like I belonged. It was that connection, the unspoken trust between two very different men, that gave the Incredible Hulk its emotional soul. When viewers saw David Banner's struggle to control the beast within, they weren't just watching good acting. They were witnessing a real friendship being reflected on screen, one built on empathy, respect, and a shared understanding of pain. For Lou Ferrigno, those early years weren't just about learning to act. They were about finding someone who believed in him, even when he didn't fully believe in himself. And for Bill Bixby, mentoring Lou seemed to give him a renewed sense of purpose. It was a partnership that would soon face unimaginable tests, both on set and in life. As the Incredible Hulk continued to dominate television ratings, Bill Bixby's life behind the camera grew increasingly complicated. To the outside world, he seemed to have everything: success, respect, and the admiration of fans who saw him as the heart of the show. But those closest to him, especially Lou Ferrigno, saw another side of Bixby, a man burdened by heartbreak, loss, and quiet suffering that he worked hard to hide. Lou would later say that he'd never met anyone as disciplined and professional as Bill Bixby. He'd walk onto set, smile, hit every line perfectly, and give everything he had, Lou remembered. But when the camera stopped, sometimes you could just see it, a sadness he couldn't shake. That sadness, Lou would come to learn, stemmed from the tragic turns Bixby's personal life had taken. In 1981, Bill's 6-year-old son, Christopher, died suddenly from a rare throat infection. The loss shattered him completely. A few months later, Bixby's ex-wife, Brenda Bennett, still overcome with grief over their son's death, took her own life. Those two events left deep emotional scars that never truly healed. Even years later, Lou could still recall how Bill carried that pain like a quiet shadow. He was never the same, Ferrigno once said softly. He learned how to smile again, but not how to forget. During the filming of later Hulk projects, Lou noticed that Bill had become more introspective, more focused on making every scene meaningful. It was like he knew time was precious, Lou explained. Every take mattered to him. He wanted the show to stand for something, for humanity, for empathy, for control over pain. Those themes weren't just part of the script. They were reflections of what Bill was living through. Despite his grief, Bill never let sorrow consume his kindness. He often checked on crew members, brought food for the staff, and went out of his way to make Lou feel supported. He was like family to me, Lou said. Even when he was hurting, he was thinking of others. That's who Bill was. The cast and crew often spoke of how Bill's quiet leadership created a sense of unity rarely seen in television productions. Off-set, Lou and Bill's friendship deepened. Lou would visit Bill at home, and they would spend hours talking, not just about acting, but about life, loss, and finding meaning through hardship. Lou later revealed that those conversations shaped his own philosophy. He told me, "Pain doesn't make you weak. It makes you understand what matters." I've carried that with me ever since. Still, even Lou couldn't always reach the depths of Bill's sorrow. He never wanted pity, Lou said. He'd change the subject or tell a joke. He didn't want to be remembered for tragedy. He wanted to be remembered for what he gave. That strength inspired Lou to push himself as an actor and as a person. When The Incredible Hulk ended in 1982, both men struggled to move on. Lou went on to pursue film roles and personal projects, while Bill began directing and producing. But they never lost touch. Bill often called Lou to offer advice or encouragement, and Lou always picked up, no matter where he was. He was my mentor, Lou said. I owed him everything. In the years that followed, Bill's health began to decline. In 1992, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, but he kept the news private from most people. Even Lou didn't know at first. Bill continued to work, directing episodes of popular shows while quietly undergoing treatment. He didn't want anyone to worry, Lou later shared. That was just Bill, strong to the very end. For Lou Ferrigno, watching his friend suffer was devastating. He admired Bixby's courage, but felt helpless, knowing he couldn't take away his pain. "I would have traded anything to see him healthy again," Lou said. "He was more than a co-star. He was like a brother." By the time the world realized how serious Bill's illness was, it was already too late. But his strength, compassion, and guidance had left an unshakable mark, especially on Lou, who would carry those lessons for the rest of his life. By the early 1990s, Bill Bixby's once vibrant energy had begun to fade. Though he remained the consummate professional, directing episodes of Blossom and Evening Shade, those who knew him best could see the toll illness was taking. When he was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 1992, he refused to let it define him. He didn't want sympathy, Lou Ferrigno later recalled. He wanted to keep working. That was his medicine, staying busy. Bill's quiet resilience impressed everyone around him. Even as his body weakened, his focus remained razor-sharp. On set, he continued to encourage young actors, direct with warmth, and maintain his signature sense of calm. "He never showed fear," Lou said. "He faced everything with this quiet strength that I'll never forget." Yet privately, the disease was progressing fast. Friends say he often hid the pain to protect those close to him. Lou Ferrigno, who had stayed in touch with his mentor over the years, began to notice subtle changes in Bill's voice and energy. "When we talked, he'd sound tired," Lou said softly. But he never complained. He'd ask how I was doing. That was Bill, always thinking of others. Lou offered to visit him several times, but Bill, ever the private man, politely declined. "He didn't want people to see him sick," Lou explained. "He wanted us to remember him as he was, strong, confident, full of life." By mid-1993, Bill's health had sharply declined. He was hospitalized, but still managed to direct the final episodes of Blossom from a wheelchair. The cast and crew described his determination as nothing short of heroic. "He was literally directing until the last possible moment," Lou said. That's how much he loved his work. It kept him alive. In November 1993, just days before his passing, Bill called Lou for what would unknowingly be their last conversation. "He thanked me for being part of his life," Lou remembered tearfully. "He told me, 'You did good, Lou. I'm proud of you.'" Those simple words stayed with Ferrigno forever. "That call meant more to me than anything I've achieved in my career," he said. "Because it came from him, the man who believed in me when no one else did." On November 21, 1993, Bill Bixby passed away at his home in Century City at the age of 59. His death sent shockwaves through Hollywood, but for Lou Ferrigno, it felt like losing a family member. "I broke down," Lou admitted. "I couldn't believe he was gone. He was the reason I became who I am, not just as an actor, but as a person." In the weeks that followed, Lou found it difficult to talk about the loss. "Every time I thought about Bill, I'd hear his voice," Lou said. "He had this calm tone that always made things better. Without him, the world felt quieter, emptier." Fans of The Incredible Hulk flooded Lou with letters, sharing how the show and Bixby's performance had touched their lives. For Lou, those messages became a source of healing. It reminded me that Bill's spirit lived on, through the people he inspired. At Bill's private memorial service, Lou gave a heartfelt speech, describing Bixby as a guiding light who taught through kindness. His voice cracked several times as he spoke of their time together, the laughter, the lessons, and the unspoken brotherhood that formed between them. "He wasn't just David Banner," Lou said. "He was the heart of the Hulk, the reason people cared. Without Bill, there would be no Incredible Hulk." After the service, Lou took time away from the spotlight to reflect. "I had to grieve," he explained. "Bill's death changed how I saw life. It reminded me how fragile it is, and how important it is to make every moment count." Bill Bixby's passing left a hole that could never be filled, but his influence continued to shape Lou's life in the years that followed. Every role Ferrigno took, every fan he spoke to, carried a piece of Bill's legacy. And though Lou never forgot the pain of losing his friend, he found comfort in knowing that their bond, like the show they built together, would live forever in the hearts of millions. As the years passed, Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby's partnership on The Incredible Hulk became more than just a television memory. It became a symbol of human connection, resilience, and artistic harmony. Together, they created one of television's most emotionally charged portrayals of a man at war with himself. Lou embodied the physical might and raw pain of the Hulk, while Bill captured the intellect, torment, and compassion of Dr. David Banner. It was a perfect contrast in strength and vulnerability, rage and reason, and that balance made their performances unforgettable. When The Incredible Hulk ended in 1982, both men went their separate ways professionally, yet they never truly drifted apart in spirit. Lou often spoke about how much he missed working with Bill, calling him not only a co-star, but a brother figure. He admired Bill's ability to lead with kindness and calm, even in stressful situations. "Bill had this peaceful energy," Lou once said. "He didn't need to raise his voice. He led by example." For a young and ambitious Ferrigno, that lesson would stay with him for life. Behind the scenes, their friendship grew deeper than anyone realized. Lou, who struggled for years with hearing impairment, found in Bill someone who truly listened, not just with words, but with patience and understanding. Bill knew how to make people feel seen, even when cameras weren't rolling. In turn, Lou's respect and admiration for Bill were absolute. "He was one of the most compassionate men I ever met," Ferrigno shared in an interview. "He carried pain in his heart, but he never let it change the goodness in him." When Bill Bixby was diagnosed with prostate cancer in the early 1990s, Lou was among the first to reach out. Despite the distance between them, their bond remained strong. Bill's courage during his illness deeply moved Ferrigno. He saw in Bill the same quiet strength that had defined Dr. Banner, a man fighting against something far bigger than himself, but refusing to give up. Lou once said that Bill's final days reminded him that true heroes aren't the ones who smash walls. They're the ones who face life with grace. After Bixby's passing in 1993, Ferrigno was heartbroken. He described that loss as one of the hardest moments of his life. "It felt like losing family," he said. "He believed in me before anyone else did." Lou attended tributes and memorials, often fighting back tears when speaking of his friend. What hurt him most was knowing they never got the chance to say a proper goodbye. Yet, in many ways, every episode they filmed together had already said everything that needed to be said about friendship, understanding, and acceptance. Over the decades, Lou Ferrigno has continued to honor Bill's memory. At fan conventions, interviews, and special events, he always takes a moment to speak about Bixby's influence, not only on his career but on his character as a man. "Bill taught me that real strength comes from empathy," Lou said in a 2019 interview. "He helped me see that the Hulk wasn't a monster. He was misunderstood, just like so many of us." Today, The Incredible Hulk remains a classic, beloved by fans around the world for its emotion and sincerity. It was more than just a superhero show. It was a reflection of the human struggle to control anger, pain, and loss. The magic of that series lives on because of what Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno brought to it: truth, heart, and humanity. Even now, decades later, Ferrigno carries Bill's lessons with him. Every time he meets a fan, every time he speaks about the Hulk, there's a glimmer of that old partnership, a reminder that great art is born not from special effects or fame, but from genuine connection. Lou often says it best: "Bill made me believe that even a monster can have a soul." And perhaps that is their greatest legacy: two men, two hearts, and one timeless story that still speaks to us all.